So, like a good MBA student, I wrote the threads that had been converted into opportunities, but I really mean these were really big decisions and threats that have been really converted into opportunities. See, Nuva is the main competitor and owned by the kibbutzim. It's a monopoly of milk because the kibbutzim were producing the milk. So Strauss, as being a privately owned capitalist dairy, had to focus not on selling milk, not on going into white cheese or cottage cheese, but to go into niches of sophisticated cheese and later on to delicacies and high-end products. And also because of the big Tnuva, Strauss had to focus on being very efficient and quality and more expensive products. Here I go into a little story. Strauss did not sell yellow cheese because yellow cheese is a very high-consuming milk product. So it was impossible for Strauss to manufacture it on their own. So there was a contract between Tnuva and Strauss that Strauss will buy the end product from Tnuva but repack it in Strauss packages. And in every marketing research, the customers would swear that Strauss yellow cheese has better taste than Tnuva's because I would say the label and the name and the quality of Strauss were superior to Tnuva many times. In the 60s, a lawsuit that Gervais Danone sued because by ignorance Strauss manufactures a cheese with the label and the name and the exact picture of Danone. My grandparents managed to turn this lawsuit into an agreement of more than 40 years of know-how, and Gervais Danone today are still partners at the dairy. And this is something which gave Strauss, I don't know, Strauss it's in Hebrew, and Strauss it's in English. A big quantum leap in any aspect. 1994, the peace treatment agreement with Jordan, the board of Strauss understood that opening Israel and the atmosphere of the new Middle East, the Mizrach Tichon Chadash, and all this excitement in the Rabin era will bring lots of attention of the multinational companies to Israel, which before did not enter Israel because of the size of the market and the complexities. So they looked into the portfolio of the company and decided that the ice cream is the most vulnerable business because it's already mature and because you need to invest a lot of money in advertising in this kind of business. And they decided instead of waiting for danger to arrive, to initiate and to go and offer the ice cream to Unilever, #1 in ice cream, and this happened right after in '97. More explanations. 31st years were difficult years, no profits, and still my grandparents were, with their perseverance and decisiveness, decided they will not give up. Also, the second point is a very unique one. Although it's a privately held company that does not have to have a strong board or not to have a board at all, Since the cooperation with Danone, Strauss always had a strong board of members, board of directors, and this was something very unusual in comparison to other companies. And also with the ability to cooperate with other foreign companies was something very special to an Israeli company, and in a way Israelis were known to be very ignorant, like we know, we do, we are special, and the modesty of cooperating and learning from multinational and European companies was very unique in this sense. Some of the reasons for the success are typical for family businesses all over, not just Strauss alone. Family businesses usually have a strong set of values, togetherness, cohesiveness, hard work, quality. This is typical for family businesses all around the world. Very strong employer-employee relationship. I'll just tell an anecdote. The father of my first husband worked at Strauss for more than 50 years. And this is a story he told my mother, but something he was talking about many times. My mother asked him when he received a very big party for his farewell after 50 years. She asked him, how did you survive in Strauss for 50 years? And he said something which is very typical for a family business and for Strauss also. He said, when I was young and I was a new immigrant, I came to work like a physical worker in different places in Nahariya, one day here and one day there. And one day I've been asked to come and do some unpacking of sacks of milk powder at Strauss. And I came, I did my job, and then we have been asked to stay for the afternoon because another truck is going to arrive, and could we stay and work some extra hours? And I said yes, why not? And then my grandmother went into the kitchen and came back with the coffee and served these workers with coffee. And he said, a place where the owner serves you a cup of coffee is a place I want to stay and work for. And this is a story he told 50 years later, but this is not the only story I could tell in this direction. But family businesses are known for not firing people during recession time. There's a special bond of employer-employee relationship. Reinvestment of profits for decades in the business, and as I said, ability to cooperate with business partners. How was the business run? You know, I prepared a 10 minutes presentation, and then nobody else accepted this panel, and then Richard kept asking me questions, and so my presentation grew longer and longer. First generation, my grandparents together owned and ran the business. Second generation were only two brothers, my mother and her brother Michael, and they again owned alone and worked side by side in the factory. My mother joined for the last 30 years, and the third generation, we are 6 cousins, 3 from each side, and my cousin Ofer runs the business. She's the only one after I worked in the business for a few years, and my brother did, and one of my cousins did, but we are outside now. And only owners, and I already sold the shares that I owned, so I'm not an owner anymore. Some of